Are you serious? Get some water. Being here in California, I got a couple more days left here, but and being here and witnessing the largest storm here in 5 years, and seeing the effects on what it's doing to the ocean, and actually going out there yesterday and filming along the ocean. It's got me researching what is going on with the Pacific Ocean. I mean, I understand Fukushima, but and that's been 5 years, and that was the same time as the drought. 5-year drought, 5 years since Fukushima. So what's the story? Okay. Well, let's go. I just want to, here's some information, doing a little research, and I'm going to share something with you here. And of course, don't miss tonight's Sunday Night Live, starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll get into this more, as well as what's going on with the sun. Is there a connection? But there's a massive blob, and abnormal conditions are in the Pacific Ocean, and it seems to have increased the ozone levels. A vast patch of warm water in the Pacific Ocean, nicknamed the Blob. And I've talked about this about 2 years ago even. I had a researcher on my show by the name of Ken Jensen from Vancouver, Canada, talk about the Blob. Well, anyway, it's resulted in increased levels of ozone above the western half of the United States, according to researchers. The Blob, which at its peak has covered roughly 9 million square kilometers, or 3.5 million square miles, from Mexico to Alaska, was assumed to be mainly messing with conditions in the ocean. But a new study has shown that it has a lasting effect on air quality as well. Are you serious? Ultimately, it all links back to the Blob, which was the most unusual meteorological event we've had in decades, according to one of the teams from the University of Washington. The blob of warm water in the Pacific was first detected back in 2013, continued to spread throughout 2014 and 2015, and I reported on this. While it was less obvious in 2016, there were some indications that it persisted well into last year. The vast warm patch has been linked to several mass die-offs in the ocean during 2015, including thousands of California sea lions starving to death in waters more than 3 degrees Celsius or 5 degrees Fahrenheit above average, an unprecedented mass deaths of seabirds also in the United States. But now we know there's also a lot of mass animal deaths taking place everywhere around the world that doesn't and isn't affected by the Blob. So I won't totally, I can go with the Hosea prophecy. I won't go with the Blob with the mass animal deaths because there's too many worldwide not connected. But anyway, in April of 2015, the effects could also be seen on land, with a bout of strange weather in the United States linked to higher ocean temperatures, and an increased temperatures saw a massive toxic algae bloom stretch along the entire U.S. West Coast. Folks, look, there's something biblical is going on, folks, with the signs of the second coming of Christ. You wonder if this crazy event linked to the Blob, the year of 2015, could also have been driving a massive boost in the ozone. At first we were like, wow, maybe we made a mistake, they said, according to the reports from the Pacific Northwest researchers. We looked at our sensors to see if we made an error in the calibration, but we couldn't find any mistakes. And so as they went on, the researchers went on and continued to look at this thing to see if there was any connections. The team mapped the lifespan of the Blob in unprecedented detail using multiple satellites positioned all over the globe to track temperature fluctuations on the Pacific Ocean surface between the years of 2014 and 2016. They then went back, compared the events to the sea surface temperatures records dating back to 1910, And what they found was unlike any natural phenomenon ever seen in recorded history. The phenomenon is something new, something we haven't seen before, and that was reported from Earth and Space Research in Seattle. They told the National Geographic this. From that entire record, this event is unprecedented in magnitude and duration. There's just nothing like it in our historical records. They found that the events of the blob on land, warmer temperatures, low cloud cover, calmer air, actually combined to produce extra ozone, and by June of 2015, this had pushed ozone levels to between 3 and 13 parts per billion higher than average over the northwestern U.S. So certain areas with already high ozone levels, such as Salt Lake City and Sacramento, California, saw their ozones pushed above federal allowed limits. Matter of fact, Washington State and Oregon were really the bullseye for the whole thing because of the location of the winds. Salt Lake City and Sacramento were on the edge of this event, but because their ozone is typically higher anyway, those cities felt some of a more acute effects. So how does something in the ocean affect our ozone levels, you may ask? Well, under normal conditions, folks, winds along the west coast run along the surface of the ocean and push the top layer away from the coast. This allows the colder water below to take its place, bringing vital nutrients with it and balancing out the temperature. But the team found that during the blob's peak, the increased temperatures on the surface of the ocean had caused the air above to heat up and to stagnate. No! This weakened the coastal winds so much that they were no longer able to push the warm top layer of the Pacific away from the shoreline. And thus, with no upswelling of cold water, the high temperatures remained. And together with a lack of clouds, this allowed a chemical reaction that produced ozone, solar ultraviolet radiation, or sunlight, breaking down oxygen molecules to kick things up a notch. So, temperatures are high, and with much less cloudy than normal, both with triggered ozone production. And because of the high pressure system off the coast, the winds were much lower than normal. Winds blow pollution away, but when they don't blow, you get stagnation and the pollution goes higher. And while the ozone spike was only temporary, the team says we should take this as a warning for the future. Researchers already knew there was a connection between higher atmospheric temperatures and ozone production, but now we know the sea surface temperatures can affect our ozone. And with ozone pollution known to cause serious respiratory dysfunction, including aggravating pneumonia, asthma, and bronchitis, we'd better be prepared for something like the blob next time it appears. But my question is, did Fukushima, the earthquake, the melting down of the reactors, was it Fukushima that caused the whole thing to happen in the first place, causing this abnormal weather conditions of a biblical proportion? Is this the beginning signs of the apocalypse, when the Bible says in 2 Peter chapter 3 that the earth is going to melt with a fervent heat, and even the elements will burn? And what about the Bible says in Revelation that men's skin will be scorched because of the heat coming from the sun? And have you checked the sun lately? There's a gaping, it's not just a hole. Folks, this thing's like unbelievable. It's huge, and the solar winds are blowing. We'll talk about all of this on tonight's Sunday Night Live. Starts at 7 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Eastern at my website at www.paulbegleyprophecy.com. That's www.paulbegleyprophecy.com. Are you serious? Are you saved? Give your life to Jesus Christ. He's coming soon.